Good afternoon, Chairman Mikowski and members of the committee. My Indian name is Beipa Anita, Red Thunderbird woman. My English name is Joan Johnson. I am honored to represent the Fort Belknap Indian community, home of the Nakota and Ani people. We are here today to join the 22 Tuahe pilot demonstration and incubator tribes in expressing our strong support for the Native Children's Commission Implementation Act of 2025. On August 12, 2025, our community joined a collective of Tuahe tribes in a formal letter to this committee urging the permanent authorization of the Tuahe Initiative. For Fort Belknap, Tuahe is not just a line item in a budget, it's the cornerstone of our success in protecting our most sacred resources, which are our children. Our reservation is remote, sitting just 35 miles from the Canadian border. In such isolation, the flexibility of the Tuahe model is a necessity. It allows us to move away from one-size-fits-all federal mandates and toward a whole response that integrates our culture, traditions, and spirituality into every service we provide. The proof of the Tuahe model is found in our results. Before Tuahe, we lacked the resources to support youth struggling with trauma or substance abuse addictions. Today, our Soaring Eagle Juvenile Justice Program is a national model. By replacing punishment with cultural immersion led by our elders, we have reduced our 6-month recidivism rate to 35%, well below the national average. Our family wellness program has removed the stigma of intervention by meeting families in their homes as wellness specialists. We help them clear the Pacific hurdles to independence, from obtaining tribal IDs to accessing life-saving health care through our Tuahe transit system. We now facilitate over 100 vital transports per month. To understand why making this program permanent is so vital, you must hear the voices of those it serves. One of our participants who once struggled with addiction and homelessness recently shared, "Tuahe gave me the nudge I needed. They guided me to become closer to my Creator and helped me learn who I am. Today I am sober, happy, and enjoying motherhood." She just recently had twins. As we discuss the future of Native children, we must confront the harrowing reality. Section 202 of this act correctly identifies the need for formal study on the status of missing American Indian and Alaskan Native children. However, for this data to be truly effective, it must account for the full scope of the crisis, including non-custodial familial abductions. In Indian country, children's safety is often complicated by jurisdictional gaps and lack of their boots on the ground. While national attention often focuses on stranger danger, we know that family abductions where a child is taken or concealed in the violation of a custody order account for a massive portion of missing children cases. For our remote communities, these incidents are not just private family matters. They are emergencies that require coordination between law enforcement and families like Soaring Eagle. A lot of time in the justice system, because there are custodial issues between the parents, the child's voice gets lost, and a guardian ad litem steps in to be that voice for that child, so that child's voice isn't lost. However, coordination is only possible if the officers actually exist. True sovereignty is impossible without the resources to protect it. Currently, the federal government provides Fort Belknap with funding for only 9 law enforcement officers to patrol an area the size of Rhode Island. In 1997, the federal government provided our community $1.2 million for law enforcement. Nearly 30 years later, that figure has only increased to $1.3 million. This is not a budget, it is a forced state of emergency. We cannot protect our children with a department that is funded at a fraction of its actual need. For the Native Children's Commission Implementation Act to succeed, it must be paired with the full mandatory funding for tribal law enforcement. We urge the committee to move away from the historical funding models that keep our departments understaffed and underpaid. A lot of times we always look at law enforcement for keeping our community and our people safe. But what about the law enforcement? At the end of the day, they have to go home safe to their families too. And with one on patrol, that kind of makes the risk higher. While various transportation modes exist within the region, the Tuahe Transportation Initiative serves as a critical last-minute solution for the Fort Belknap Indian community. By strategically coordinating travel resources, we have successfully bridged the geographic divide that historically isolates our most vulnerable members. The Fort Belknap Indian community is proof that when tribes are given flexibility to lead, our families thrive. However, as noted in our joint letter, for tribes to fully realize the potential of this initiative, an increase in authorized funding will be necessary to meet the vast needs across Indian country. We urge you to pass the Native Children's Commission Implementation Act of 2025. Help us ensure that the decade of action and healing become a permanent reality for our children. Chairman, we love our children on the reservation. Our children are going to grow up someday. We want them to heal. It doesn't matter who they are, where they come from, or what they've done. They still deserve to heal and live a good life. We would like them to have dreams, their dreams come true, and have stories to tell their children and their grandchildren someday. Not stories of unhealthy things, but stories of growth and stories of how they survived and what healing is really about. And because it certainly isn't about drugs or alcohol or anything unhealthy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony, Councilwoman. We will next hear virtually from Ms. Anita Fineday, who was one of our commissioners on the Alice Spotted Bear and Walter Sobolev Commission.